Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale is broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Everything I try to do in each and every episode of this program is to say to you, we have exciting guests. And have we done it again? You bet! And they're married. We're going to get to talk about their marriage and try to drive a wedge between them. It's going to be great fun. JeffJared, who is a three-time candidate. They're both from the Seattle area. You're a Libertarian. You ran a Libertarian PAC. Michelle Darnell, who is the first person I asked, she brought her husband along. And she is a candidate multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. First as a Republican and then as a Libertarian. Mm-hmm. Let's start right away with, how did you guys meet?
We met at a pool party.
A swimming pool party.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
When was this?
What was it, 6 years ago? 6 years ago, June. A girlfriend of mine, it was a birthday party, and I showed up.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
it was a
there he
little
was.
rowdy for my sensibilities. My background is, Baptist, and I walked in.
You're not allowed to have any fun.
No.
Correct. I remember stepping through the screen door and looking over and seeing him and everything going on, and part of me was like, whoa. And the other part of me was like, no, you're supposed to be here. And the rest is history.
Oh, that's nice.
And she's made me a better man, for sure.
That's
sure.
great. I'm glad to hear that. And you guys connected early on and then married shortly thereafter?
Yeah. Well, we've been married, 2 years, and it'll be 2 years in October.
Congratulations.
So.
Congratulations.
November.
Oh, I'm sorry, November.
That's so insulting.
I'm sorry, November 26th.
Well, that was a role reversal.
Yeah,
it's always the guy who forgets.
I know.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. And you're an attorney? Been one for a long time? Or?
About 25 years.
Yeah. And what's your specialty?
I do a lot of family law and criminal defense and foreclosure defense.
Oh, really?
So I usually represent the little guy in divorces.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
We fight the banks and the government sometimes. So.
Yeah. Is that what brought you into the Libertarian Party? Was the idea of individual initiative and the little guy kind of thing?
A little bit. I've been a Libertarian since I was 15 years old.
Is that right?
My whole personality
You're
is
the
sort of
one.
Libertarian.
Really?
It's a natural,
Yeah. And so that's a natural thing for you to be and do and the way you think.
I think so.
Yeah. And Michelle, how about you? You didn't grow up as a Libertarian,
No, I certainly didn't grow up Libertarian. I sort of had an awakening in about 2008, 2009. The recession hit. And I kind of call it a calling into politics. At the time, I was just kind of a mom. I had 4 kids, and I was just doing my thing, and then came across the foreclosure situation. I'm kind of a research junkie. I spent several months, that something's not right here, and what I turned up just exposed me to so many other, elements, and then I decided
the story behind the story.
Behind the story, and I realized, at the time I was a Republican, conservative, kind of in my little bubble, and it just completely changed me, and I realized at that time that I got to do something about this, and I just kind of got called to change the world one heart at a time.
Good for you.
And so that's what I've been doing, and drew me into politics and drew me to him.
It was foreclosure and the bank fraud that really got you into it. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I just believe that, and I still believe this. I believe this then, and I believe this now, that, we talk about a lot of other issues, the border, immigration, a number of other issues, but fundamentally, what happened during that recession was just critical to our country. If you're thinking about how you might take over America without shooting, without a shot fired, and let's say you want to make America socialist,
right.
What do? You break the back of the middle class, and the middle class was vested in homes.
Yes.
And so we had Glass-Steagall.
We were encouraged that was all part of the great.
You can never lose. You can never lose. I remember
American
30 years
dream,
ago. I was told in a financial seminar, buy the most expensive home you can afford and the least expensive car. Your car will depreciate, your home will appreciate.
Always appreciate.
Can only go up.
But that wasn't true.
Yes.
And so then the collapse in 2008, and we can tell you dozens and dozens and dozens of stories and of people who lost everything.
Oh, yeah,
and so now we have student debt. We got families that lost all their equity, their home and everything else.
Lost
and
their 401ks.
Yeah, so back to what I was saying, you break the back of the middle class, you take their wealth, you take their equity, their power, and now we can come in and usher in the socialist agenda because they're dependent. They don't have that power. We now have tents popping up in Seattle. It's just everywhere, and so the socialist response now is to further disempower. Let's raise taxes.
Tax the rich.
Let's cap rent.
Give to the poor.
All of
Minimum wage,
exactly.
which is a price control, which they don't work. Economics
Never.
teaches us the price controls don't work.
No.
Richard Nixon tried it.
And that's when the Libertarian Party was formed.
Is that right?
In 1971.
Right.
Nixon did price controls, and it was the Vietnam War, and people got together in a room in Colorado and founded the Libertarian Party in 1971.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Right around 71, yeah.
Wow.
But really, if you go up high enough, which is why I'm libertarian, if you go up high enough, Democrat, Libertarian, it's red Kool-Aid or blue Kool-Aid.
You mean Republican?
Or excuse me, yes.
Republican Democrat.
Republican Democrat.
Yeah.
If you go, and I've seen it firsthand as I've been involved in politics. I mean, I have some friends in the Democrat Party. I have friends in the Republican Party. But if you go up high enough in the establishment, it's yin and yang. I mean, and they're distracting us, and they're keeping the people divided. And right now, we have an issue.
Often the same players who get to both sides.
Correct, exactly. And I am controlled by an oligarchy that, is calling the shots behind the scenes.
Right.
And what we have on the ground level with the people is it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Sure, right.
People are insecure and they're scared for basic needs.
Yeah.
And so now we have to point them in the direction of an enemy, and which I think, personally, you and I don't necessarily agree on the border issue, but I believe it's a distraction. I believe it's, here we have a population in America that's insecure, and we've got to point the finger somewhere. But we're not pointing it where it really needs to go. And we're not really offering solutions. Congress has had decades to solve this problem. And frankly, before President Trump, we weren't even talking about the problem.
Right.
But right now, the Democrats and the Republicans are using it to fire up their base because we have an election coming, and it helped him get elected before.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily an open borders person, and frankly, I run for state office, so, it's not really a state issue. But in terms of my opinion, we can protect our borders. I'm fairly confident we can protect our borders without abusing children and without the situation that we're seeing today. And I think that's unconscionable. I think that if Disneyland can figure out how to get 10,000 people every day in and out their doors and check for background or whatever they do, I'm sure they have security measures. Surely Congress can figure out a way to open the front door so they're not going through.
Well, I agree with you. I think there's a vested interest in not getting it solved right now. They don't really care, They're looking for hot button issues.
Yes.
Just talking about politicians in general. You disagree with your wife on this one?
Well, not so much. I mean, the Libertarian Party, what is open borders, but what is a free market? A free market is the free movement of goods, services, money, and people. Like from Florida to Washington State, that's a free market. There's no border check, there's no currency exchange, and that's beautiful.
Right.
And I love the idea of potentially opening our border with Mexico, but I think when you have the wealth disparity, it's huge.
Right.
When you have a poor country next to a rich country, it's a disparity.
There's always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's on us. We shouldn't be putting out the milk for the kitten and then kick the kitten.
Yeah.
Let's shrink down welfare And let's deal with the drug war, and let's deal with our foreign policy where we're destabilizing Central America.
And can we talk about, forgive me for interrupting, but I think the drug war is the biggest cause of this immigration. Because drugs are illegal,
Right.
that these little countries, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, Washington State has more people than each of those countries.
Right.
They're small countries with small budgets, and the money, the lucrative money in the drug war just overwhelms those countries.
Right.
And so 14-year-old boys are threatened. You join the gang or you get killed. So they come north.
Right.
So again, the libertarian argument is to decriminalize drugs or to legalize. It doesn't mean you should do drugs, of course.
Right.
It's not a moral statement.
But that's the root problem I would submit. That's what makes it so criminal in those countries, overwhelmed by crime. And the little nations can't handle it's the American drug demand. We're a country of 320 million people, insatiable desire for drugs.
Yeah.
And these little countries provide it, and it overwhelms their governments.
You know, and in Mexico, I have a friend who is a evangelist and spends a lot of time in Mexico and also in Central and South America in general. But one of the things he said that he ran into in Mexico in particular was he said the cartels come to the police and they say, how much do you make? And he says $300 a month. And he said, I'll tell you what, you come to work for us, play ball, we'll pay you $5,000 a month. And here's the benefit, the extra benefit, your family gets to live. And what choice are they left with, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, I have friends who have come over here illegally, and I have a real understanding for why. And I think part of the sort of negative attitude about the Mexican people in particular, illegal immigrants, is we don't really know any. You know, and I have friends here because I'm in Nevada and I'm from Arizona. If I were them, I would have done the same thing. I would have kept coming across that river until I made it. Because, you know, one of my good friends said, you know, my home country is no longer a country. It's a big drug cartel.
And that's the thing that you said. When you have this image of people, but when you have a friend who's an illegal, you know him and it changes your perspective.
Yes.
He's just not the enemy or some image out there. He's a person with the same goals and desires as us.
Yeah.
He's not an other.
Yeah, and in southwestern states like this one, nothing gets done without illegals. You know, I mean, who's gonna climb the palm tree and trim it? You know, I don't know how to do that. You know, and we need them.
And they have
but there does need to be a path, I think. You just can't let people.
And if you think about it, Dale, I mean, I want the kind of person that is willing to travel from Honduras to the Mexican-American border with a baby on her back. That determination, much prefer that to some of the Americans that can scarcely lift a finger and are collecting their checks every month.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I'm with you there.
I mean, that's what built America, was these kind of people.
Yeah.
And I think we're pulling up the drawbridge. And back to the point on, you know, meeting people.
Right.
Jeff and I we've traveled 28 countries together. And one of the things that I've learned is that you know, how do you make a Democrat a libertarian?
How?
Give them a business, or don't give them a business, give a business license or a paycheck. How do you make a Republican a libertarian?
How?
Give them a passport. Let them go out and meet other people that don't look like them, don't talk like them, don't have that. And then you realize, as we travel and talk to people, we realize everybody wants the same thing.
Yes.
They want food on the table, a roof over their heads.
They want their kids to have a better life. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It's
the
same.
same. The governments hate each other, but the people like each other. I'd love to go to Iran. We would like Iran, but it's the government of Iran, the government of America that are fighting. The people wouldn't fight, I don't think.
Behind it all is sort of the financiers and the, you know,
all that stuff.
Yeah, without going off into all that, but there is an element of that,
Sure.
And you know, but we the people, we have more in common than we have different. Even my Democrat and, you know, Republican friends. I mean, I got started in Occupy after I had my awakening, I sort of went down to Occupy Seattle with all these socialists, and they looked a lot different than me, this conservative gal coming from Ferndale, And then I listened to them and I realized, we have the same arguments here.
They have a point of view,
Well, they were anti-corruption. They were this was during the recession, and they were talking about Wall Street and everything. Now, mind you, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, 100%.
Right.
Capitalism brought more people out of poverty than any other system.
And always will.
But we don't have capitalism.
It's crony
we
capitalism.
Have crony capitalism. And let me tell you, we see it in the judicial system.
And crony capitalism makes the wealth sort of circulate at the top artificially. That's not a free market. And I think that's what liberals who don't like capitalism, they're seeing crony capitalism, and they think that's natural capitalism, but it's not.
Well, they saw mom and dad lose their homes and their businesses and their jobs. A lot of these kids, my daughter went to UW.
University of Washington.
She saw her family impacted by the recession.
Sure.
And a lot of these young kids, and they're smart and bright kids.
Sure.
People talk about the millennials and they're resilient. They saw, they endured a lot during the recession. They saw mom and dad going from soccer mom to working full time to, but the problem is they're misguided. They've been funneled through this I would argue socialist education system. They've been brainwashed against capitalism. And so it's on us to reach them with the message. Education.
But we're going to need to take a brief break.
Oh, certainly.
And do a little capitalism here. Sell some soap and some hamburgers and some cars.
Of course. That's a free market.
In favor of all that. And we'll be back with Jeff and Michelle. We're going to be talking about not only libertarianism, talk a little bit about religion, if you don't mind. And are you going to be able to stay with us?
I think I can.
Yeah,
okay, great.
I love having you here.
We love having you
right.
here. We'll be back with these both wonderful, wonderful people who happen to be libertarians right after this. Hello, I'm Dale Davidson, the host and producer of the Christian TV show Las Vegas Tonight. I'd like to take a moment right now to talk to families. First, to the parents, grandparents, and others who watch over and care for our precious children, child development experts say that children won't become fearful if you remain calm and reassuring. They say that you should answer your child's questions openly and honestly while staying positive and upbeat. And now, to all the kids who are watching, your mom and dad and everyone who cares for you are making sure that you're safe. It's very important to them that you're happy and healthy because they love you very, very much. An important way to feel better when you're scared is to talk to God. Let's say a prayer together now. Dear God, please take care of me and all the people I love. Help me to be strong when I hear or see scary things. I know that the people who love me are doing everything they can to keep me safe. Please give them the strength they need to be brave whenever they need to protect me. Thank you, God, for always loving me. Amen, and God bless you. We are in the midst of some very difficult times, facing tougher challenges than most of us have ever seen. We're very worried about our health, our families, our safety, our finances, and the future of our nation. Jesus told us that we would have some very serious troubles. In the Bible, in the book of John, chapter 16, verse 33, he says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. He means that he walks with you through all the troubles you're facing right now. He wants you to be at peace. He'll answer when you are struck with tragedy, or you're scared, or you've lost hope, and you just don't know where to turn. He's telling you to turn to him. Now that you're at home much of the time, talk to God. That's what prayer is. Read his book, the Bible. The book of John is a great place to start. It tells us all about Jesus, the Son of God, and what he did when he was here on earth. You'll learn that Jesus came to live with us in order to show us how to spend eternity with him in heaven. To become a follower of Jesus Christ is very simple. You say a prayer and really mean it. Would you join me now in that prayer? Dear Lord Jesus, I am a sinner. I ask you for your forgiveness. I believe that you died for my sins and rose from the dead. I turn from my sins starting right now and invite you to come into my heart and my life. I wish to trust and follow you as my Lord and Savior. Amen. If you've said that prayer, you've been born again. Turn to Jesus now for the answers you so desperately need. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back to Las Vegas tonight. We have JeffJared and his lovely wife, Michelle Darnell, and they're both libertarians, and they're both about freedom, and they're both about capitalism, and they're great people, and they're from Seattle. Let me ask you about Seattle. Liberal. Is liberal as the reputation?
Are you talking about the Soviet Republic of Washington State?
That's the one. How do you really feel about it?
It
just seems like
I feel
it
like
is.
we're in the belly of the beast.
Do you really?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I've been sort of strategic in starting up our county Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
I do believe that, as the county goes, so goes the state.
Yeah.
So if we're effective in building this county organization, we can impact the state, because King County elections control the state.
Yeah.
And if we can impact Washington, then conceivably we can impact the country. Shama Sawant was the first socialist city council member for Seattle City Council. She was elected, I think, 4 years ago.
Okay.
That went national. And you've seen what's going on in national politics. She sort of, she crossed over the wall, so to speak. And so I think, we can, one of the things, if you have an opponent and they're beating you, watch what the opponent's doing.
Sure.
And emulate that. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Michelle's great about that. She follows the Democrats and sees what they do and takes notes.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Know your enemy.
Shama Sawant invited me to, because I got involved in politics back in Occupy.
Right.
So she invited me to her campaign event, and standing room only, and I'm like a fly on the wall watching. How are they doing this? She ran a campaign like a well-oiled machine.
She was everywhere, every event.
Everywhere.
Sometimes two at the same time. I don't know how she
I
did
don't
it.
know about that, but pretty close. And we complain on our side, oh, we're not winning, and those darn Democrats and socialists. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Stop complaining. Watch what they're doing, emulate it, and do it better.
Yeah. I had a similar experience. I was involved in politics for many years. I was a media consultant primarily. Worked on 16 different campaigns, including Ronald Reagan for president.
Oh, wow.
But I started with the Republican Party in Cleveland, Ohio, which is 70% Democrat. And not to brag.
Excuse me. The Republican Party, did you just say there's...
I started working as a Republican with the Republican Party in Cleveland, Ohio, which has about 70% registered Democrats.
Got you. Oh, wow.
And we
You're
managed
the underdog.
Yeah, and we managed to win some elections.
Nice.
Wow.
And that was part of it. Not big elections. I mean, statewide elections were easy to do, but the local elections were difficult because of the disparity. But part of it was the same thing that you're talking about. How did the D's keep winning in the city of Cleveland? What were they saying? What were they doing? And without giving up our Republican, values, we can talk the way they talk. We can be populist. We can be friendly.
Compassionate.
We can show up. We can be compassionate. Yeah. Yeah. And I even got a county commissioner race won by a Taft, the same family, Seth Taft. William Howard Taft was his grandfather.
From Ohio.
From Ohio.
Doesn't Ohio have the most presidents? Ohio and Virginia.
And Ohio.
They're neck and neck.
They're neck and neck. Yeah. A lot of presidents came from there. But it's the same thing that you're talking about. And grassroots organizing is a big part of that. Yeah. So the libertarians, do you think they're good at grassroots organizing, and are they doing the kinds of things? I don't want you to take a slap at your own party. I'm just saying.
Oh, I don't mind.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Are they getting it done?
the Libertarian Party is like an adolescent young man trying to find his identity and figure
really?
things out.
Okay.
Do I think they have potential? I think they have amazing potential. We
Yeah.
have the best ideas in the political sphere,
Right.
or the political space.
Right.
They just have some learning to do.
Yeah.
And in the last 5 years, I've seen tremendous growth. You know, we've started our county party. We've got a whole board of new membership. We've, you know, in 2 years, we were able to mentor new people to, you know, to where I could step away and hand
Good.
that off.
Good.
So that's been a good thing. And, you know, yes, they're starting to do those grassroots sort of things. And, you know, basically, one of the things I'm trying to do is, having run a few times, I'm trying to lead by example and explain to them and show
Right.
them. And so they're coming around.
Yeah.
In terms of timeline, you know, I
That's
don't know.
always the question of the Libertarian
know.
Party.
I don't know.
When are you going to have a president? When are you going to have a congressman? When are you going to have a...
But we can influence
Senator,
without being
you know.
elected.
Yeah, sure.
We, you know, one of the things we also do, and I personally do, is I call it building bridges with electeds in both the Republican and the Democrat Party right now. I mean,
Right.
I have legislators that call me. And you know, we discuss issues.
Yeah.
They'll sponsor a bill. So so you know, I think the future is bright for the Libertarian Party. I think there needs to be a little growing up. We
Okay.
do have some internal jousting and drama that's going on. You know,
Yeah.
are you a the purist in the party?
That's the thing, if I may interject. Libertarians tend to be very critical, and I think there's a couple reasons. Because to be a third party, you've rejected the R's, you've rejected the D's, and now you're a third party. But you gave the great analogy of crabs crawling up the side of a pot. If one libertarian star starts to rise, the libertarians criticize. Like the crab's crawling up, and they bring no crab, and it's a bit cannibalistic.
Yeah.
But I think it's the critical nature of the party, because we've rejected the big two tribes, and we're so critical, and we criticize our own people. We cannibalize our own people.
Yeah.
That's got to stop.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting and true. I think very true. And the other part as well is, you're free thinkers, right? And you're independent individuals, and you're saying, let's work together, independent individual free thinkers.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible. But so we're up against some tough things.
Well, actually, it's like herding butterflies. It's very that come together. And a lot of people in the Libertarian Party have run businesses. It's not that much different. And
No,
in
they
the
know how to
business
do that.
sphere,
Yes.
they know how to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they know how
but
to
when
do
you
that,
translate to the political sphere, they're having a hard time making that. I mean, really, campaigns should be run like a business.
Yeah.
You're selling a product, you're selling
Sure.
an idea, or you're selling a candidate.
Sure.
So it's all those same elements.
Right.
So I think, you know, we can do that, but I think we need to get, you know, there are some egos. I think there's a little bit of a dynamic that big fish in a small pond.
Oh,
and
I see,
some
yeah,
people, if we ever get big, they're going to lose their significance. And, you know, I mean, you have a McAfee, which McAfee is a great guy. He's a great software guy. But on the other hand,
yeah.
you know, he can be a really big fish in the Libertarian Party because
Right.
nobody else has that
Is in it.
experience or res.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
we ever were taken seriously, nobody paid attention.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he would go by the wayside.
So I call it the big duck in a small pond syndrome. I think a lot of libertarians, they want to keep it small,
Yeah.
so they can stay big, and that's not what you need in a. Politics is growing the tent, expanding your. It's a numbers game. It's democracy.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Justin
it's the-
Amash may be coming
Right.
over, and there's a lot of
that'd be great.
tension right now
Really?
about that.
Should we allow it, kind of thing, huh?
Is he pure enough?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be another Bill Weld? Well,
Yeah.
Bill Weld, you know,
Yes.
and I don't blame Bill. I mean, I talked to Bill. Bill's a heck of a nice guy. We had
Right.
conversations. He came over and he did more for the Libertarian Party than the party did for him.
Yes.
He came over and was beaten up. So
Yeah.
he's like, you know, okay, I'm going back to the Republicans.
Republican Party,
You know, and the movement is important to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back where I can maybe actually make a difference.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that if Justin makes that jump, I hope he has enough of his own people, I'm sure he does, to carry on his campaign. Because there's going to be some problems in the party in terms of the purity crowd.
Yeah, you know, it's hard, but Ronald Reagan, of course, who's my hero, was excellent at proposing and encouraging and bringing other people into the big tent.
Great communicator.
Yeah. And he used to be able to say, even to the D's, if you give me 75% of what I'm looking for, I'm a winner. Mm-hmm. And there's something to be said for that. And pure political intellectuals can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
In all parties. I'm just not talking about libertarians. All parties.
Well, I think all politics, there's always the more pure and the more pragmatic. That's that constant tension. That's politics, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, I think. Now, you've done well. You had about a third of the vote for your last race. 31%.
Yeah, and I started late and didn't have much money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad.
And in a liberal county, right?
Pretty heavily Democrat.
Yeah. What were you doing that the other candidates across the country who are not having any success at all, right? Single digit kind of success. What did you do that was different? What could you teach them about, how to potentially win this? Because, you had 20 more points and you were the winner.
Doorbell.
I worked my tail off.
Is that
I
what
worked
it was?
really hard.
Yeah.
I could have worked harder.
Walking the district and all that.
Doorbelling. We needed to reach about 21,000 doors and 91,000 registered voters.
Right.
So my mark I was shooting for was 21,000. We reached 9,000.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have done better there. I should have raised more money, and I should have started sooner. Time times people times money, political capital. What advice I could give to other candidates and what I'm observing in other candidates, although it is changing a little bit in the last couple of years, because I ran a few years ago and the word did get out, is hitting doors. Frankly, when you hit doors, people don't care that much about what your specific values are.
You came by.
They're flattered.
You came by.
You're not a salesman, and you're here.
Yeah, you care about me.
Yeah,
you
they're
cared
flattered.
enough to come to my door.
So
it's not rocket science. It's a numbers game, and I think that's the big. The Libertarian Party. It's not about messaging. It's about the apparatus. How can we build an apparatus to raise the most money and to reach the most doors as quickly as possible? That's it.
The Republican Party and the Libertarian Party have many things in common, but what they don't have in common are stances on the social issues, so-called social issues. So if you were trying to bring, it would seem to me that the pond that you would most want to fish in would be the Republican pond.
Not necessarily.
Really?
Not necessarily.
Okay, how am I wrong there?
Depends on the issue.
Oh, okay.
May I say,
Depends on the issue.
I worked for Ron Paul, his Republican candidacy in 07, 08 in Iowa.
Okay.
I was a paid staffer in the Des Moines office.
Oh, great.
And we were 1/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican, and 1/3 Libertarian.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much, roughly speaking.
Okay.
So, but I think we're closer to the Republicans, but you'd be surprised. Like Tulsi Gabbard, who's one of the Democratic presidents, she's anti-war. She's libertarian on war. But she's not getting any press. She's still a 1%er, I think. But I think we're probably closer to ours. But I think there's more than you think.
I'm about 50-50. I mean, it depends on the day. I've been called a socialist and I've been called Republican light. It depends on who you're talking to. I tend to be sort of a bleeding heart libertarian. I'm probably you're a little more. Would you say anarchist?
I'm fairly pure, but
I tend to be a little more nuanced on some positions. Like I'm not one to say, tomorrow I want to legalize heroin, and I would prefer to. I am against the criminalization of drugs. I think that nonviolent crimes have got a lot of people right now destroyed lives, supporting the prison industrial complex. But on the other hand, Americans have lived restricted for so long now. I don't know that we could handle an over the night. I mean, overseas they sell some of this stuff over the counter. You can walk in, and over here, if that was to happen, we don't have that self-control anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm more of an incrementalist, where you would probably say, hey, let's make it legal.
Yeah.
And in terms of the welfare system,
Yeah.
I think that post-recession, you can't just, arbitrarily end the welfare system when you have made people via the crony capitalism dependent. You'd have a lot of people die. I mean, really. And so I'm an incrementalist. So I would probably tilt a little more to the left on those particular issues. Issues I might tilt to the right on are probably, I'm a capitalist. Certainly on fiscal issues, I would side with the Republicans.
So I get that. I get that. Let's take another brief break if you don't mind.
Okay.
Stay with us.
Okay.
We'll be back with Jeff and Michelle and a fascinating conversation right after these messages. Hi, I'm Dale Davidson, host of Las Vegas Tonight. Radio has an enduring place in the heart of America. Sometimes it's music that can enliven your spirit or keep you company when you need some. More often for me, it's just been the right spoken word or two that can quiet my mind and soul. Radio brings me a reassuring word in the quiet of night or a welcoming voice early in the morning as I shake off the night's sleep and find my way into God's purpose for my day. And always, I find the best radio station is the one that brings me the best news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite radio station is KKVV in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's still right where it's been for years at 1060 on the AM dial, hovering over Sin City like a gospel airship, broadcasting the good news of the abounding love that Jesus Christ has for every single one of us. No matter who you are or where you live, you can receive God's Word via the KKVV Gospel Airship. Just go to kkvv.com and click on Listen Live. KKVV is using all the tools that God's provided them, like podcasting and video streaming and video on demand, to produce programs that lift up our fellow believers and save the lost. If you feel a calling to speak to others about Jesus Christ on your very own show, pick up the phone and call the station. They'll be happy to tell you how. Call KKVV today at 702-731-5588 or drop them an email at kkvvradio@hotmail.com. Please join me in becoming part of the KKVV family. You'll be glad you did.
Dale Davidson and the team at Las Vegas Tonight firmly believe that the only solution to today's serious problems is the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Dale carefully selected, making sure that their dedication to our Lord is heartfelt and genuine, and that their ministries are making a strong and positive difference in the world. Dale doesn't charge anyone to be on Las Vegas Tonight. The cost to produce and air the programs are covered by donations from our ministry's partners. We thank you so much for your financial support, and most of all for your prayers. Please consider becoming a partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries for just $40 per month. For a little more than $1 a day, you'll be helping us bring the good news of Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world. The television networks that broadcast the program reach from coast to coast in the United States, and through internet apps cover the entire world. Your $40 monthly contribution entitles you to Dale's newsletter that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Las Vegas Tonight and inside information on the exciting guest Dale interviews on every episode. You'll also receive a copy of Dale's book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, an in-depth look at 10 of Dale's most intriguing guests, plus a very personal story of how Dale came to Christ and the challenges he faces in bringing the good news to the world. Become a partner of our ministry today by going to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries website and clicking on the Donate button, or by emailing Dale at dale@lasvegastonight.tv, or you can write him at Dale Davidson, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and may God bless you abundantly.
And we are back with Las Vegas Tonight. Jeff Jared and Michelle Darnell, who are telling us all the fine points of libertarianism. And we're agreeing and disagreeing and having a great conversation. The point I guess I was getting to with mining the Republican mine, if you will, or, fishing, pick your own metaphor, is I think from a social issue standpoint, I think Republicans would come over to you like that, I think, because there's a lot of things about the Republican Party that Republicans don't like. And part of it is that economic royalism that you're talking about, country club Republicans. There's a lot of working people are not crazy about that idea. They're not crazy about what the D's are doing. But as Republicans, they might come over to you, except for the fact that you want to legalize drugs, except for the fact that abortion is okay, except for the fact that, those kinds of personal liberty issues, which I understand. I mean, I understand the logic.
We're actually split on abortion.
Are you?
Yeah.
I think it's maybe 60 pro and 40% pro-life. Is that fair to say? So we're split on that one.
Oh, okay.
More than people think.
Yeah. So, there again with the purity of the libertarian, if there is, really a line of demarcation, what do you do about that if you're going to try to get them?
Try to get Republicans?
Republicans, yeah.
I'm actually having any trouble getting Republicans. I mean, when I talk to Republicans, for example, on pro-life, pro-choice. One of the messages I had for Republicans on that point is we need to change the messaging. I want a pro-life, pro-family economy. Right, so people don't, let's cut this off at the source, so to speak. Why are people getting abortions?
Right,
Most abortions are actually in a couple. They can't financially afford to have more children. Maybe they already have 2 children, economically, what can we do to lower the cost of living, lower taxes, and create a environment where people can choose life and also have the time and the energy and the resources to invest in their children so that, Melissa isn't 16 getting pregnant. I mean, let's dial this back off from the head-on, effort, and let's talk about what's going on in our society right now that is creating a situation that we have this problem to begin with.
If I can interject,
Sure,
I think
please
if we lowered taxes, one parent can stay home and raise the kids.
That would be nice, and I don't care which parent.
The second parent, often the mother, has to go to work to pay the taxes and the expensive. If we lowered taxes, maybe one parent could stay home.
We're taxed right now conservatively, federal, state, and local. Add up your taxes, and we actually threw an event, stop taxing the hell out of us, and my debutante mother is looking down on me. But that's how strongly I feel. We had a stop taxing the hell out of us event where we dumped bottles of water into the lake. It was Boston Tea Party style, while we read off all the taxes. It was a full legal size page. Over 40% federal, state, and local families are paying in taxes. That is creating poverty. That is creating a situation where both parents are working 40, 60 hours a week with travel. They don't have time to invest in their children or interest. And so children are now being, raised by devices and television and so,
daycare.
That is the problem. We have a situation where government has replaced the family.
Yeah, I know, and that's
so
scary.
Republicans should be talking about that, and libertarians are talking about that. So I think it's a natural fit that some of those folks would be coming over to us.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to posit that whole issue. I've got a son who is somewhat of a liberal. He's a D. I said it's some kind of a DNA accident. But anyway, that I'm not responsible for. But he's got a great job, great high-tech job. And he's making big money.
Excellent.
And I talked to him on the phone about his first paycheck early on, this 10 years ago. And I said, how do you like supporting another family you don't know? Because in California, it's 50%.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Federal, state, and local, 50% in California?
Yeah.
Wow.
At his level, he's making big money. He's
So you work
making
3 hours a day for the government. Your first 3 hours from 9 to noon, you're working for the state.
13%.
Yeah.
13%.
But see, now he's
state income tax.
Ooh.
13%. He's at the top. You know, he works for one of the big ones.
But there's a dynamic with the limousine liberal types.
Oh, boy,
They're
that's the
making
truth.
so much.
I use that phrase too. Yeah.
They're
It's easy to
making
be
enough.
that
They're
way.
above
Yeah.
the threshold, and
Yeah.
they feel bad
Guilt.
about about the people that
Got
indigent.
left behind.
And so they have no problem supporting the taxes, but what they're not thinking is the people below them. It's that
It's life and death.
when you go to the carnival and they have that little change thing, and you throw the quarter
Yeah.
in and it topples over.
Yeah.
They don't seem to put together that you can raise the tax just a little bit, and you're pushing off
Yeah.
a whole sector of people
Yes.
off into poverty.
Yes.
They're already on the edge. A lot of people, like
Paycheck to paycheck.
tariffs. Like President Trump is raising tariffs, so now socks cost 10 cents more, and pants and toys. And for a poor family, that's $50 a month more, and that topples them over the edge because they're on the edge.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really ironic, and you talk about limousine liberals. There's also a split among those. Back with San Francisco, and may be true in Seattle, it almost doesn't matter because of the cost of real estate, how much you make, because I've read an article in Mountain View, which is a suburb of San Francisco where Facebook is and where Google is and some of the others are. They the city council passed a housing subsidy bill because they can't get doctors and lawyers and policemen and firemen to live there because they can't afford to live there. I'm talking about doctors and lawyers.
They're subsidizing doctors and lawyers to live.
Anybody who has a household income of under $250,000, they're subsidizing.
Who's paying for that?
Taxpayer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's
because there are other
astonishing.
people, there are royalists there in the high-tech industry who are making that an hour.
You said royalists?
Royalists.
That's a good word.
That's the word that I'm using. The guys on top. It's astonishing. So, when you say to somebody, of my son that I'm talking about, of his level, and you say, well, how much money he makes, which is a lot of money for somebody his age, it's not that much money when you consider what's happening in California in terms of taxes and real estate prices and all of those other things involved. And I believe that the West Coast, California in particular, but also the state of Washington and also Oregon are good leading indicators of what else happens in the country, right? And it's going to spread. So one way or the other, whether it's Republicanism or I think there's a conservative Democrat or two in America,
One or two left.
Libertarians, we got to do something, right?
I heard a new term today that I hadn't run across before, a conservatarian.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that term.
Conservatarian.
Sure.
There's not even a
I've
party.
never even heard of that before.
Well, they're kind of a cross between libertarian and conservative.
Yeah, that makes
Again,
sense.
back to the social issues, I think that's the biggest schism between...
That is.
And you mentioned the war on drugs. Of course, Christians don't want people using drugs. And I would legalize prostitution too. And of course, there are many things that are legal that you still shouldn't do.
Right, yeah.
It's bad to be dishonest. It's bad to get addicted to alcohol.
Sure it is.
But we've learned from Prohibition that criminalizing it wasn't... when they criminalized alcohol, women drank more. You invented bathtub gin and the Tommy gun. And the mafia took off. So the black market effects are so bad. But the idea, I would tell my conservative friends that you can legalize, it can be legal, but ethically wrong. It's legal, but don't do it. We should teach, don't do it. It's legal, but don't do it.
Yeah. And it's a distinction that some people can make and others can't. That's part of the problem.
Fair enough.
You're sitting in I believe maybe the libertarian capital of the United States, Las Vegas.
You think so?
Oh, here, yeah.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Okay, marijuana is legal here. You can recreational use. You can go to a dispensary anywhere. Container, have one.
Oh.
So yeah, you're allowed to walk on the street and drink. That's not a problem.
Like New Orleans.
Yeah, like New Orleans. Yeah, yeah. I remember walking out of the Bellagio once, and some Midwestern-looking type dudes, I recognize them because I am one, were slugging down a Miller, right, before they go outside. And I went up and I said, "Take it easy, boys. You can walk down the street with that in your hand." You know.
But has that been a problem in Vegas? Are there people fighting in the streets more?
No, the only thing that goes on, really, my director here, William, and I have an acronym for it, and they say we have a gas problem, and the gas problem is gambling, alcohol, and sex. Now that's our business here, right? And we rely on it here, but there are people who can't control themselves, you know, and you can have an intellectual understanding of, okay, make the distinction. Maybe it should be legal, but we shouldn't do it. Some people just can't make it, and they come here and get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
There's vices. Vices exist. Now, whether they're legal or not, they still exist.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, how difficult is it? You know, the experience with Colorado, it depends on who you talk to about the legalization of marijuana. They've had it longer than anywhere, including Nevada. And, but they're saying DUIs are up, you know, that sort of thing. The schools are getting more money, you know, which is a positive
Oh, from
thing.
the tax on
The
it.
taxes, yeah. But they're having some more legal ramifications from it.
I thought I read a study in Washington State. There weren't a big problem. Washington State. Colorado was first.
Makes it more expensive.
But I think they said studies show kids maybe are smoking it less.
They did say that.
Oh, is that right?
That's one study.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's definitive, but it's like no one's selling alcohol on playgrounds. It's legal.
Right, yeah. Go
Now
buy
they're
it.
selling drugs on playgrounds, maybe because it's illegal. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's like prostitution. I think it's legal in the rural counties. Here, is it
Here in
not?
Nevada,
and
yes, right.
when you legalize prostitution, I think there's less child sex.
Yeah.
It's again, you clean up the black market. You bring it out in the open. It's regulated. There's proper business. Still, it's sleazy. Still, it's a vice. But at least it's legal. It's above ground. It's visible.
Well, the biggest issue I have is that, you know, a lot of this is about the prison industrial complex. I mean, look at this. We've got,
Private
you know,
prisons, a lot of them.
Yeah, 18, 19-year-old kid gets caught with a bag of marijuana or whatever. Now he's got a felony on his record and goes
Hard to
to
get
spend
work.
time.
Yeah.
You've ruined his entire life,
Yeah, I know.
you know, based on a nonviolent.
Victimless crime, if you will.
Victimless
You can
crime.
say there's victims because, you know, people say, well, alcohol does increase domestic violence. People get drunk and
does.
they hit their
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
But we don't want to criminalize alcohol. That would not solve the problem. I think better treatment, more education, etc.
Yeah.
But
Had alcohol been introduced in the 20th century, it probably never would have been legalized. You know, I wonder. I think the FDA would have said, there is so much wrong with this stuff that we, you know, they might have legalized weed first. You know,
I actually think that alcohol is probably more dangerous.
It is.
they say it is. Yeah, they say it is, and I actually believe it is. One side effect of legalizing marijuana here in Nevada, I saw a story, and a friend of mine did a study not a study, an investigative story here at the local newspaper, is illegal grow houses are actually up. Guess why? Libertarians will like this. Guess why?
why?
Because illegal dope is cheaper.
Oh, because less taxes. Well, I think in New York State there's a black market for cigarettes because the taxes are so high.
The taxes are
You're going to have a black
insane.
market. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah, we go to, those of us who smoke in Las Vegas go out to the Indian reservations to buy cigarettes.
Because there's no
No
taxes.
federal tax. Yeah.
Same in Washington State.
Is that right?
Yeah. You save a lot, like $2 a pack
The
or something.
tax on cannabis is outrageous.
Oh, it's like 30-40%. Or
I don't know how they're making any money.
they are. Oh, they are.
And here, and I don't know what's the case in Washington, whether they've done anything about this, but because the federal banking system doesn't recognize the fact that this is legal,
Right.
We have a whole subculture here of armed guards,
Yes.
SWAT team type dudes.
Because it's a cash-only business.
Cash only business.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and one of the reasons I don't think they're making it legal on the federal level is these businesses, all their expenses, how a regular business can expense out and deduct it from, from their taxes.
Expenses,
Well, they're having to pay, right off the top, and they don't get any deductions, so the federal government's making a ton of cash on this.
Wow.
If you think
I never
about
thought about that before, yeah.
Yeah. Because they don't get the deductions.
Yeah.
They're taxed on their gross before they pay any expenses or anything else. It's kind of like the B&O.
Yeah.
They're being taxed right on their
the
gross.
Wow.
They can't, if they
That's
legalized
interesting,
it, if they legalized it, they would be able
unintended.
to, or intended.
Oh, yeah,
depending
maybe.
on how you're.
Yeah. I'm sorry to say the hours rushed by.
Oh, well, you know what? We only wanted 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We went into
We got an hour. Yeah. We got a show starring the married couple of Michelle and Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for coming on.
This is
My
fun.
pleasure. Our pleasure.
And thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight.
Dale Davidson and the team at Las Vegas Tonight firmly believe that the only solution to today's serious problems is the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Dale carefully selects his guests on the show, making sure that their dedication to our Lord is heartfelt and genuine, and that their ministries are making a strong and positive difference in the world. Dale doesn't charge anyone to be on Las Vegas Tonight. The cost to produce and air the programs are covered by donations from our ministries partners. We thank you so much for your financial support, and most of all for your prayers. Please consider becoming a partner of Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries for just $40 per month. For a little more than $1 a day, you'll be helping us bring the good news of Jesus Christ to millions of people around the world. The television networks that broadcast the program reach from coast to coast in the United States, and through internet apps cover the entire world. Your $40 monthly contribution entitles you to Dale's newsletter that gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the production of Las Vegas Tonight and inside information on the exciting guests Dale interviews on every episode. You'll also receive a copy of Dale's book, Las Vegas Tonight, From Sin City to Vegas Saints, an in-depth look at 10 of Dale's most intriguing guests, plus a very personal story of how Dale came to Christ and the challenges he faces in bringing the good news to the world. Become a partner of our ministry today by going to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries website and clicking on the donate button, or by emailing Dale at dale@lasvegastonight.tv, or you can write him at Dale Davidson, 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. Thank you for watching Las Vegas Tonight, and may God bless you abundantly.
Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with your host, Dale Davidson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of our show. We so appreciate your loyalty to our program. To keep Las Vegas Tonight on the air, please go to our website, vegassaints.org, and click the donate button. To send a check or money order, please make it out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries and mail it to 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To suggest a guest to appear on the show or any other suggestions or questions, write to Dale at dalewdavidson@yahoo.com or call him at 702-480-3989.
Shine, Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
I can already feel you judging me, and not for what I've done in the past, but for what I'm about to do. I had what mattered, and I got careless. Like, I don't deserve more. I don't deserve sympathy. I don't deserve to be here.
Where the hell are you? Why aren't you answering your phone?
Jenna! What is the matter with you?
Someone once told me, you may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you're somebody's shot of whiskey.
Excuse me, ma'am. My car ran out of gas and I left my wallet at home. Could you please spare a couple dollars so I can refuel my vehicle?
I literally have nothing.
What's it gonna take to get you to join the program?
Get about a dog! If Jesus wanted you to have a dog, he would have blessed you with a bowl and a leash now, wouldn't he?
Social Media Shows is a production company based here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We offer these services. We've been streaming shows live in real time for over 4 years on major social media platforms and also on our website socialmediashows.com. And we are now on Roku TV. We welcome you to have your own show on our TV network. Call us 651-955-8743 or email us at admin@socialmediashows.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.